ISUPK started out at 1 West, 125th Street, priest and officer Damiata. This is the Wednesday night law class. We're going to teach about the law. We'll open the floor up. If y'all got any questions, we'll let us know. If not, we're going to proceed to move on. If you got any questions or check them in. Lord will, I'll be able to, get to them. That being said, is there any questions in the room? Questions? But if y'all got any questions online, type them in it. I mean, until then, just gonna move forward. Number one thing that's being talked about, it's two, but either one is still considered like a number one thing.
I went over there yesterday to just the class too. It's mind-boggling. When people, ask about vaccinations, my mind immediately jumps to, you just don't fear God. Or even worse, you're not right with the Most High. Means you're doing something else.
Right. It's a damn vaccination. Listen, this never fails, right? Anytime you hear somebody talk about a vaccination, especially if they're in person, right? Look at what they're doing while they're talking about going against a vaccination. And what makes it so silly, even more crazy, is that I'm seeing a bunch of stories get released. Like the most recent story I seen was, it was 3 people that got the vaccination, right? And it kind of like did some like nerve damage to the mouth. Had the mouth twisted, had them looking all crazy, right? So as I'm reading the story and I'm looking at the pictures, I see a bunch of people repost it. I think to myself, I say, yo, people don't know when we're dealing with new vaccinations or new cures or anything, stories like this come out all the time that is completely false. Right? That is completely false. Meaning what? They take 3 pictures of 3 paralyzed people, paralyzed from their face, and create a whole story about how the vaccination gives you permanent damage to your body. Right? People read the story, then they get spooked. Then they see the pictures of people who got the vaccination, and they get more spooked. Do anybody know where these stories come from? And look at the pattern. This happens all the time. Like, there's no coincidence that there's a vaccination being talked about, right? And now there's theories out there that's telling us not to get the vaccination. First of all, anybody know anybody that got the vaccination? Yeah. If anybody went to a doctor's appointment or anything and was offered a vaccination, where are they giving it out at? Get it. I know.
Slavery's doing it.
Slavery offered to you yet?
Shit. I called you right up.
That's what I'm saying. So I didn't get the call, which means no. Right? Nobody been offered the vaccination, but there's stories out there of people who took the vaccination and got damaged, which sounds a little bit fishy. I can't find one place that I can get it from now, but there are places that get it where these stories is common because you got places like Russia, places like China, who, and they do this with Facebook. They create fake news. Why? Because all these places outside of the US damn near had the coronavirus under control, and they know what to do. Right? U.S. is damn near the only place that's still dealing with it heavy. So fake news come out about not getting a vaccination. Why? Because they know it's going. They know America's full of a bunch of stupid Christians who is going to reject the vaccination, which is means they're going to die at a rapid rate, and it's going to hurt America even more. From some nerd that's sitting at his computer in a whole other country, typing up false stories about if you get the vaccination, this might happen. And sidebar real quick, too, right? I seen a story. I actually talked about it earlier of vanilla. Did y'all hear about that?
What?
Where vanilla come from?
You talking about like vanilla?
Yeah, like the flavor vanilla. Where it comes from?
Nice.
It's been a story been floating around. It said type in where vanilla comes from, right? If you type in where vanilla comes from. Do me a favor, you guys, type in where vanilla comes from.
Oh, the same place chocolate comes from, Mexico.
Well, okay. Before you say that, just type it in and then read it to me. Where do vanilla flavor come from?
I don't
Now, hold your answer what you just said, right? When you read this, this is going to give you a understanding. See, this is going to give you an understanding about these vaccinations. You got it?
A chemical compound used in vanilla flavor in a sense comes from the anal glands of beavers.
They say vanilla comes from the anal glands of beavers. What is the anal gland?
Jesus.
On the behind of a beaver, there's two glands on each side. That's how they mark their territory. So when they go to poop somewhere or urinate somewhere, and they want to or they go to build a house somewhere and they want to let other beavers know this is my territory, they release some type of fluid from the anal gland. Other beavers come there, they smell a spot, and they say, okay, this belongs to someone. So they say vanilla comes from taking the glands from the anus of beavers. And what else? Go ahead, Jediah.
I give it a precept.
All right, hold the precept real quick. So you take the glands of beavers and you make vanilla. What would that mean about vanilla?
It's unlawful.
It's unlawful. Vanilla is lawful. Which means it don't come from the goddamn ass of a beaver.
Right.
That comes from, it's no different than vegetarians reading big stories and putting videos out there of cows getting head chopped off cruelty to make meat eaters not eat meat. And then there's no different from meat eaters being, pulling out articles, pulling out scientific facts on how it's healthier to eat meat. They both against each other to just stop the other one. Go ahead.
I was about to say, I was going to pull whatever sold in the shambles, don't ask for conscience sake.
It's just that simple. And then, just like the guy said earlier, comes from Mexico. We got you cut off. How they put that out there to make you stop eating vanilla because it's stupid. You read that and don't do no research. Go read. You don't even read the pack of buy vanilla. You don't even read the ingredients. But you go from a story from a nerd behind his computer, print up false news and say vanilla comes from the anal gland of a beaver. You believe it. And they are the same people who believe if I get the vaccine shot, I'm gonna get, I'm gonna lose feeling in the left side of the face. Right? You're gonna lose feeling in the left side of your face until you get the corona. The only way is to go away and you get that shot. Would you rather die or would you rather lose Hmm? Which completely makes no sense. All that is fake news. Right. All that is fake news. Which we gotta understand. And for one, you just gotta learn how to read and comprehend. That's that's where you gotta start. And you gotta stop believing everything. See, that's why Christianity is so dangerous because it puts you in a mindset of you believe everything that's put in front of you. You're the type of person that don't believe it unless you can see it. So now when you get stories about the taking the vaccine, bad. But at the same time, that person is saying that, what are they doing? They got a damn cigarette in their hand. Right? You telling me not to get the vaccine because it can kill you, but at the same time, you're like, I'm getting that vaccine, man. That vaccine can kill you. Man. You see what on the internet? You see what it said in the do to you. Hold on. Yeah. That vaccine will kill you, man. Smoke, I got some Newport. You want some Newport? You want smoke? Why? Hey, I am not getting that vaccine, man. You're going to die if you get that vaccine, man. It's like, smoke. Right. Like, and I was up at the subway, right? Quick story. I was up at the subway up the street, right? And as I'm standing there, there was a brother that was there in front of me ordering. So he ordered some type of sandwich, right? So I noticed the subway lady, he was telling her when he went on. He said, all right, I want lettuce. She grabbed lettuce, put it on the hoagie. He said, can you change your gloves? So she changed the glove. He said, all right, I want tomatoes. She grabbed tomatoes, put it on the sandwich. He said, can you change your gloves? He said, all right, I want this. All right, and can you put mayo, this, that, and the third? Put that on there and make sure you change your gloves after every time you put stuff on it. So after she grabbed different things, he wanted her to change her gloves. He stepped outside to smoke a cigarette. So then he comes back in, right? He comes back in and he's like, yo, was the sandwich ready? Like he just had to have a cigarette. Like he went outside and he took a few puffs. He put it out, came back in and was like, yo, was the sandwich ready? And she was like, you gotta give me some time, just a few more. So she grabbed, like it was like the mayo container, squirted it on there, and then she reached to grab something else. No. You gotta change your gloves. She was like, I'm not gonna keep changing my goddamn gloves, man. I changed my gloves 10 times since you've been here. Why are you being so difficult? He said, because I'm Muslim and I don't know while I was standing over there that if you touched any pork, you could have touched some pork and now you want to touch other food that's going on to my home. She said, well, what, you allergic to pork or something? He said, no, it's against my religion and if I eat it, God might kill me. She was like, but you just was outside smoking a cigarette. Won't that kill you? He went, you even gonna change your gloves, or I ain't buying it. Like he paused for like 5 seconds and I was like, hell out.
Shut up, you slut.
Hell out. Like as she said it, he paused. She was like, she was outside smoking a cigarette. He was like, it's either you gonna change your gloves and I ain't buying it. She was like, you making it difficult. I'm making sandwich, but I'm not changing my gloves because if I got the same pair of gloves and all this food is going on the same sandwich, why do I need to change my gloves? I understand what you're saying, but I clearly see how they're touching pork. But you worried about me touching pork because you said pork will kill you, but you just was smoking a cigarette. I don't even want it no more, man. I'm sitting there like, he feel convicted like hell to leave that sandwich. Like you went through all that to get a sandwich, and now you don't want it? Nah, because she made you feel stupid in that school. Everybody, man, this is a good point. You smoking something that on the pack tells you give you cancer or kill you, which goes to people as of today. You're so quick to tell me about a vaccine, but you smoke weed, which is GMO, and you smoke cigarettes, pop pills, you drink syrup, you do everything under the sun, but you're so quick to go there. Vaccine. Give me a precept on if they recommend a vaccine, why it's not a bad thing to take.
Right.
Go ahead.
So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38, verse 1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses that ye may have of him, for the Lord hath created him.
That's perfect, because that's the number one scripture that I was looking for. Take it from the top.
Come. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38, and verse 1. Honor a physician.
Honor a physician. When you at the damn doctor's because your piss is burning and you can't take it no more, when he subscribe, take one of these pills a day and take this shot no more, you ain't turning it down. When you at your slave and you tired of your goddamn woman nagging you because you ain't bringing home no money, you finally get a job to work and bring home some money, but the slave say, hey, take this flu shot, but you can't work here. You do it. You have no problem with that. But when it comes to other people manipulating and being idiots, you don't want to honor the physician. Thing is, in Christianity, they teach you to live according to what you think is right. So if you think it's cool for you to get a flu shot, it's not cool for you to get this this COVID shot, even though the physician told you to get it. And these the same people that claim they believe in the Bible. But the Bible says what?
Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord hath created him.
Now, he was created to be a professional in what he's doing. That's everything in life. With everything. He went to school, he studied, stayed up day and night, had some ups and downs to become a physician, to become a doctor. Honor him because he's very good at knowing what you get rid of what. And obviously you're not, which is why you're here to see him. So don't go to him just to listen to or hoping you're going to hear or hoping he's going to say what you want to hear. Whatever that physician tells you to do to get rid of that illness, the Bible say honor him and use him for what he's, Anymore?
Well, it's like that was it for the most part.
That was it. Was you all one about? Alright, so and then there was another point I was talking about. Oh, here we go. Now, which is the number one reason why a lot of people talk about they not taking the vaccine? Now, okay, it's they say because it do damage, but this was a big thing that I heard, which is why the scripture when he pulled was so perfect. For you to honor a physician because he's put there and use him for what he's worth, right? Okay. They say the vaccine do damage to you, right? And this is another thing about the vaccine why people don't take it. COVID been what? Existing for probably not even a year now? A little under a year, I would say. So a lot of people don't want to take it away. They say it's too soon to take a vaccination from a doctor. Meaning, how could they come up with a vaccine shot this fast? Right? When I hear people say that, I say, how long does it take for them to come up with a vaccine shot? They say, okay, at least 1 to 2 years, and sometimes 3. Meaning the first year they make it, they got to test it on people to see if it works. And if it works, they release it by the second year. So, okay, so it takes a year or 2, sometimes 3, to come up with a vaccination. Right? And I was like, what I'm not going to do is, here we go, believe in any guy. Everybody's saying the same thing, meaning what? It takes 2 years for a vaccination to get your year. It hasn't been a year, so why are we taking the vaccine shot so soon? I said, let me.
What I was going to ask, with that, when it comes to certain vaccinations, when it comes to certain diseases, is like, are they saying there's no way to eradicate it, or are you saying it's too early because you don't know what you're dealing with? Because if that's the case, then it's going to be around forever, because people get flu shots every year and the flu is not going nowhere.
And I think that's how they're looking at it. So meaning, I think they're looking at it more so like, it's going to be like the flu, and since it's going to be around, this vaccine shot that y'all say y'all claim cannot possibly keep it under control because y'all created it too fast. So I think that's the main thing.
But with that same logic, then I would have to ask, then what about the flu? Because the flu shot does not eradicate the flu. If you get a flu shot, you can still get the flu, even if you don't get one.
Right. Which they understand, but they hold their rulers. Meaning, let's say COVID-20 come out tomorrow. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Saturday, they say they got a vaccine for it. People's gonna ask, how to do their vaccine shot that fast? I'm not taking it because there's no way in the world you could have created it that fast. You want me to take it because I'm gonna be a guinea pig. Meaning, you want to give me that vaccine shot just to see if it works.
Right.
Which is the whole thing. I think the whole issue was about the timing the vaccine shot was created.
Right.
If this was 2 or 3 years from now, people saying they would be more willing to take it, which we know is BS. People are just superstitious and, conspiracy theorists out of this goddamn world, right? How long does it take to create a vaccine? I'm gonna look it up if y'all want to. Because when y'all look it up, before y'all say it, raise your hand and let me know. Because as so many people told me it takes 2 to 3 years to create a vaccination, I went and looked it up. When I got this answer, right, I did a little bit more research. Then I went back to the people and asked them how did they come up with their answer. This is why I decided to believe Google over them. How long does it take? Or how long did it take to make the flu shot, the flu vaccine? Or how long did it take to make the flu shot? Because people get the flu shot and it works. It's effective. Just put how long it takes to make the flu shot. Okay?
About 5 to 6 months.
5 to 6 months, right? It takes about 5 to 6 months for them to come up with the flu shot. Everybody gets especially if you got slavery working in certain fields, right? It took them 5 to 6 months to come up with vaccinations. When I seen that, it takes at least 5 to 6 months for them to come up with vaccinations and some cures for some diseases out there, right? I go back to the people when I say, what research did you do to get 2 years? Oh, well, I know somebody who's in the medical field and they told me. Ask them where did they get that from and can they give you more research or more sources? I don't hear that. Because that comes from them reading something on the internet who said a vaccine takes 2 years to make. So you taking a vaccine for a disease or a virus or illness that's not 2 years old, you just being experimented on becoming a guinea pig. And I said, okay, that makes no doubt. It took them 5 to 6 months to make the flu shot, and the flu was not killing people in the summertime. That's not what it's doing. The flu is not killing people all year round. The flu comes in flu season, meaning there's a season for the flu to come. And if that vaccination was created in 5 months, and the coronavirus vaccination was created in what, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months at best, you scared to take it? Stay off the internet. Stop reading about it. Somebody give me Acts 7 and 22. Once again, if there's any questions online, you can raise your hand, let us know. Now we're going to move on. Read,
Okay. This book of Acts, chapter 7, verse 22. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds.
Acts 17 and 22. 17.
This is the book of Acts, 17 and verse 22. Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said,
Read verse 20.
Okay. Verse 20. For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know, therefore, what things these, we would know, therefore, what these things mean.
If you bring certain strange things to our ears, we will therefore know what these things mean. We hear these things, we will know what they mean. Like you bring in, read verse 19.
Verse 19. And they took him and brought him unto Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is.
Right. So they go to him and they say, yo, damn, hold on, because I'm looking at this chapter. This is All right, so they go and they say, what is this new thing that you're speaking of? Right? They go to, what's his name? Areopagus, saying, maybe we know what this new doctrine, wherefore thou speaketh is. Meaning, we heard what you were saying, but can we know about this doctrine that you speak of? Like we hear everything you're saying, but tell us more about what you're talking about. Read
verse 20. For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears.
You bring in certain strange things to our ears, meaning all our life we've been thinking this way. You come with some new doctrine, and it's strange to our ears. We want to know more.
We would know, therefore, what these things mean.
First, so we can know what these things mean that you speak of. So tell us more. Read.
Verse 21. For all the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else, but either to tell or to hear some new thing.
So you got people that just stayed there, spent their time, nothing, or telling the story about the new things that they was taught. Read.
Verse 22. Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill.
Paul stood in the midst of it. Read.
And said, Ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious.
Meaning, he stood in the middle of them and said, yo, listen, everything that y'all finding out, y'all just being superstitious about it. I mean, too superstitious. I mean, correct. He said, you are being too superstitious. Meaning what? What is superstitious? What is being superstitious? Y'all can look it up if y'all could.
Habakkuk. Superstitious. Of relating to or swayed by superstition. When we get the word superstition to it.
Mm-hmm.
Superstition. 1A. A belief or practice resulting from ignorance, fear of the unknown, trust in magic or chance, or a false conception of causation.
One time, oh, this show.
Oh God. A belief or practice resulting from ignorance.
Meaning, y'all doing things and believe certain things, and okay, y'all believe certain things and y'all doing certain things, and resulting of the ignorance of meaning, not knowing what you're hearing, you create and build something off, which means what? Kind of like as up to that. To the fullest. They create a whole religion based off of the virgin birth because they don't understand. They don't understand. They don't understand the virgin birth, so it's a religion created based off of it. They don't understand the dietary law, so what they do. Say you're a sinner because you don't wash your hands. They don't believe in, or they don't understand the Old Testament, so they create a religion solely on the New Testament. Why? Out of ignorance. Same. Read on.
Oh God. Fear of the unknown, trust in magic or chance.
Lack of fear of the unknown. They trust in magic or in chance. Meaning, they don't fear the unknown. They trust in magic though, and they trust in chance. Meaning what? What do they trust in more than the Most High? What is magic? That's what they trust. If anybody don't lie, y'all can type it in and let me know.
Like, so repeat the question.
What is it? Not fearing the unknown, but what? Magic and enchantment? Is that the word you use?
Trust in magic or chance.
Trust in magic or enchantment. Yeah. Well, no. Meaning what?
At the top.
Acts 17 and 23. Oh, okay. That's
Yeah, meaning what is the magic or the enchantment? Right now we're going into the definition of superstition.
what is that like? You asking what is the magic or enchantment?
Yeah, and superstition.
And superstition.
Meaning they don't trust in the Most High, but they trust in like man.
That's right. Idolatry.
Idolatry, that's one of them. Give me some more.
Necromancy, witches,
Weed, which is right on topics. You know, cigarette. Like they trust in all that more than they trust in with the Bible. Magic and enchantment. They really think that, things like that can do something. Read more of the definition.
Of God. Or a false conception of causation.
Read that again.
Of God. Or a false conception of causation.
Or false conception of causation. Meaning what?
I was reading what a brother said. He said, white man wanted to poison everybody. He'd have put that poison in that Popeye chicken's head. And Cat Claw Wall was like, surely I'd be dead. Me too.
That's what I'm going to break out to. Homie, somebody just said that?
I'm out of here.
That's funny. Yes,
I was going to answer your question on what is a false conception of causation. So like they will not understand why things really happen.
They don't understand that it takes 5 months to really make a vaccine. Because they don't understand that, they don't take it. And if somebody get this right, question I'm about to ask, you'll need to study, right? This is total religion when they say that. Because they don't understand it, they don't get it. Now, who don't accept vaccines? Give our body. Thank you.
I was going to say, like different sets of Christians also, like the Amish. The Amish don't accept it. Seventh-day Adventists. Certain set of Christians don't. Catholics don't.
Which is true, but it's okay. It's a set of Christians that's the most known. don't accept.
Mormons?
Nope.
And they a set of Christians.
Christians. And they don't accept vaccines. I want to give y'all more, but y'all
Amish. You say it's a certain set of Christians.
And they definitely like top two known.
Top 2 known?
As a part of Christianity.
Right.
I mean, we deal with them.
Oh. Talking about Muslims?
No. We deal with them every week, whether we at camp or we in the house.
You talking about regular old niggas?
Regular old
Niggas in the world.
See, I'm trying not to give it to y'all, right? But okay, they're Christians, but you know how Christians got different sects like Baptist,
Methodist, Seventh-day Adventist, Roman Catholic,
right?
Mormons.
But it's one y'all not named. Well familiar with.
This one that we not named.
Y'all haven't named yet.
You're not talking about fake news.
Nah. These people, they would tell you themselves they don't believe in this. I'm gonna give you one more hint. They don't even believe in blood transfusion. Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in vaccines, blood transfusions. They don't believe in nothing. I was watching the first 48 one day, right? And they did a whole episode of this was crazy.
Now, if I could, so you gotta excuse me. I haven't seen them since the COVID. You hit me at my dogs.
That's why I say we do. That's why I knew that's gonna throw you off. Like we do it in that game, we do it every week. But we haven't seen them in damn near.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, yo, if y'all get this, y'all will know. Because it's like, because they not around,
Right.
we would have been answered it, but we haven't seen them in a minute. So
right.
I was watching first 48. Right. It was a whole episode about they had a mother, father, and it was like 3 kids, bodies in the house. And the bodies was the king. Dad made to the point they couldn't identify. They had to go through so much to identify who the family was, right? Because the skeleton and the body, it wasn't enough on them to know who it was. So they go through a whole episode. Come to find out, of course, the first 48 meaning he was murdered. Come to find out this family wasn't murdered. Nothing happened. What actually happened was, and when I say kids, I'm talking kids that's probably under like 8 years old. What happened was, the whole family was sick. Right? And because they were Jehovah's Witnesses, they wasn't allowed to accept blood transfusions or accept any type of medicine from the hospital. So they refused to go to the hospital. All they did was stay at home. God would heal them from whatever illness they had, which eventually killed all. Because all they had to do was go to the hospital and get a few pills or get a blood transfusion to help out. Because it was so damn sick and they needed it. Shy they on. Because they didn't do it. They found him in the house, a cave, and he was in there for a minute. And the family was like, we really didn't think that ever because they was like that. They would get sick and they would isolate themselves. And whatever they do in their house is just like, okay, we're doing it because this is going to help us get through it. So the family outside of them felt like this is something wrong. And when they didn't hear from them for a few months, they're like, okay, maybe he's still sick. This is normal. You're not going to go to the hospital. We can't do nothing. To the point where one family member got concerned, went over there, knocked on the door, nobody answered. It's been a few months since I heard from them. They're not answering. I know they're in there because they call. I don't want to go in there and discover them dead. All good. Police go in there, find 5 people. Those 3 kids dead. 3 children dead. And they solved the case because there was the autopsy or whatnot came back. There was no bruises, no marks, no nothing, no trauma, anything that caused him death, but illness. He was in the house very sick. Family member came out and said it made sense because they was Jehovah's Witnesses. A few of them kids needed blood transfusions and they refused to get it. They needed medicine and they needed this, but they refused to get it because of the belief. So they all had to die. They locked themselves in the house so where nobody could get out, even if they felt as though I don't want to die, I gotta go to the hospital and get help. They locked out of their doors so where nobody can get out. So no kids can go run for help. You gonna do this with Jehovah. And then they find them in there. You know what I'm saying? That is so common. That's like regular to happen because they don't believe it. Like, if you got any type of disease that causes you to get blood transfusions, take any type of medicine or vaccination, you're Jehovah's Witness, you're not allowed to take it. You gotta do everything so-called natural. So now, when we read that definition of superstition of not having an understanding of what something is, and it caused them to create a whole belief, that's Jehovah's Witness to the fullest. They sit in the house sick as hell, about to die, and you can't even go get help from a physician when the Bible is taking out the physician. But they're not in there getting help. So whatever disease you catch, you gotta rock that out. Any more on that?
There's more definitions. I mean, that was in the first one.
You could drop that, because that was perfect. You could go back to the scripture. And just like the brother brought out earlier, right? I don't know why black people feel as though Esau had to create all these type of tools and tactics to kill us. They've been using the same tools and tactics to kill us since the beginning of the time. It's been working. They take a crate of guns and drop it off in the middle of the ghetto where the poverty is so low and the job and the employment rate is so low. They need help. So where it's like, okay, we drop these guns off here, and guaranteed they catch, someone with these illegal guns and lock them up. Help more angry. Why the hell do Esau have to create a vaccine to kill you? When you go back and give me in the book of Exodus, where it talks about get rid of all the Hebrew male children.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Verse 10, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there's a falling out any war, that they may join unto our enemies and fight against us.
Let us deal wisely with them in case there's a war. They might join with our enemies and win. How do they deal wisely with us? Read on.
I'm going to drop down to verse 15. Verse 15, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shaphat, and the name of the other was Pahat. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then shall kill him.
But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
What is that as of today? Diet?
Abortion.
That's abortion. Right? To the point where they take her baby and hide her because it was killing it if it was a boy. Right? To keep the number of the men so low that these men won't grow up in the venge to death of their brothers or grandfathers. That's abortion. And they need to create a vaccine to get rid of it. When all they gotta do is have someone tell you, live your life, girl. You got a long life ahead of you. Get your career. I know you're in love with him, but if y'all had a kid, that's just gonna mess everything up. That works. Far more effective than a goddamn vaccine shot. Right?
If I could, that still applies to this day. You did a story a while ago, and the title, and I'll never forget it, it says, Black babies are better suited for Black doctors and nurses. Because when our children were in the care of white doctors and of doctors of a different nation that weren't Black, they were coming up dead. In their infancy, days old. That still applies to this day.
Listen, let's get done. Which is so heavy. It was a story, like the brother was saying, that I did, how Black babies was being born more successful by Black doctors rather than being born by white doctors. So when a Black baby get born and they have the issue, the white doctor would let it die and say, oh, we couldn't do nothing about it. When the Black doctor would find a way for this baby to live. Right? And that applies still to this day. On a spiritual level, whether the doctor knows he's doing it, but it's spiritual, whether you look at it, right? It's spiritual, whether you look at it. There we go, right there. It's more likely to survive when cared about doctors. You think they need a vaccine shot for that? Okay, you don't take a vaccine shot, right? When you come in next year from having your baby, we're going to have Dr. Weinstein deliver your baby. We know your baby going to be born with high blood pressure or something wrong with it. And when it needs extra care, we're just going to let it go. That's by far more effective than a goddamn vaccine shot. So for you to think they got to create all these special technical vaccine shots when there's a church on the end of every corner. There's an abortion clinic in some churches. In the Southwest right now, it's a church where you can go in and get an abortion because the clinic downstairs that do abortion or they do like referrals or something. Right now, in the hood, smack dead in the hood. They like newborns more likely to die and look after white doctors. But you need a vaccine shot. Mm-hmm. You need a vaccine shot to live when your goddamn baby is being born by Gillicuddy and your baby is gasping for air and he's standing over your baby like, what can we do? No. Let him try. Oh, cause of death. Come on. Goddamn back. Listen, they sell cigarettes and backwood in every store in your neighborhood. That's far more effective of killing you than the vaccine. You really think the oppressor need a vaccine to kill you? They sell shrimp, crab, and lobster, and pork, and fish, all that. That's the number one cause. you got the numbers. Let me send this to you. They need to create a vaccine to kill you, right? But listen to these statistics.
High blood pressure. African Americans, high blood pressure in African Americans are increased for risk for high blood pressure. African Americans' high blood pressure also develops in the early life and usually more severe. Diabetes, people of different racial.
It develops in early life and usually is more severe, meaning you're more likely to get high blood pressure at an early age and it's going to be far more severe. Read.
Khan. Diabetes, people of different racial and ethnic groups are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. African Americans and Mexican Americans have a higher risk of these deadly diseases that partly because of the population are more likely to be overweight and have high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes.
African Americans and Mexican Americans are more likely, so that's 1 and 2, right? Are more likely to get type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. Because they're more likely to be overweight. Why are more likely to be overweight? Shows you the evilness of it. Why are they more likely to be overweight? And me being a person that work out and everything, totally understands this, right? Which is why I'm asking, why are you more likely to be overweight? And it wasn't until I started working out and starting my journey to be healthy, totally understand why it's so hard, right? Then you got fitness trainers on the internet, oppressors and everything, millionaires, and it is just by far not a struggle. Why is it, we're more likely to be overweight? Because when you got a salad that costs $10, right? You got a salad that costs $10, but then you got McDonald's selling that triple burger that costs $1.75, and you only got $2 because your slavery kicking your ass, the bills is kicking your ass, the doctor bills is kicking your ass, the daycare is kicking your ass, child support is kicking your ass. You got $2 to your name, and this burger that's going to get you they cost $1.75. You had your name up.
Yeah, Khan. That was another story that Commander General Yohana did. General Muhammad broke down so eloquently about the higher risk of ethnic groups that are killed, that are murdered by the police. There was three groups of people that led that category. Number one was blacks, Hispanics were second, and Native Indians were third. In that order.
Come on, like when you hear those things, like to us, we've been around long enough to where it's not even surprising anymore. But it's surprising when you hear it. Like that is crazy. Like they set this whole thing up to go against us, and you still can't see because you think, okay, their way to eradicate the black race, the vaccine, nigga. You got brothers and uncles in jail for life, for a bag of weed. You got aunts and nieces that's dead or in jail or killed him or something or been triggered out or dealing with some type of illness because of prostitution or like it's a whole list you can go on to where it's go. if I say, let's do this. If I say 5 years from now, right? What was the number one thing that killed the most members in your family? I guarantee COVID is not even going to be discussed. And I give you 5 years from now. 5 years from now, if I say, what is the number one thing that killed the most people in your family? COVID wouldn't even be in the top 20. It wouldn't be in the top 20. You lost what? 1 or 2 family members because of COVID? Versus, and when I say lost, jail time, like all that, right? Versus the abortions, the drugs, child abuse. Like you can go on. You could have lost so many families to cigarette, weed, HIV, AIDS, chlamydia, syphilis. That did more damage than you worried about some goddamn vaccination, man. How silly can you be? You haven't took a vaccination yet that did any damage to you. But yet, you want to tell me about this vaccination. Oh no, if you take it, it's going to do some nerve damage in your mouth. Oh no, if you take this vaccination, I heard some people say, yeah, they put the flu inside the flu shot because you gotta get sick in order to overcome it so your body can create the antibody. I said, I said, okay. That's I done got the flu shot plenty of times. I got a flu shot in my arm and left and went straight to the gym afterwards. I'm hurting and everything. I'm in that gym with the flu with me or whatever you call it. However you feel as though it happened, right? Cool. But I never had the measles or mumps or anything. Right. Why? Because when I was a baby, I got those shots. Right. And the people I know who get those things didn't have the shots. Which made me sit back and say, I have kids. I didn't catch it. They did get the shot recorded. You know what that means? My kids better get the shot.
Brother had a quick question off topic. He said, is medium well done steak lawful to eat?
Yes. Medium well steak done is lawful to eat. This is how you know when it's not lawful. When they bring the steak out to you, right? If you got a question the steak, when they bring the steak out to you, this is what I was told and I was taught to do. You take your thumb and you press into the steak. When you press into the steak, if any blood come out of it, it's unlawful to eat. If you press into that steak and it's nothing but oil, juices, and herbs and seasons floating out of that bad boy, go ahead and dig in. As long as there's no blood coming out, it can look red as ever. That steak can look red as it can be. The moment you either take your finger or you take a fork and you press on it to get the juices to flow, and once whatever flows out of it, as long as it's not blood, it's lawful to eat. That's the only thing. Like me, I eat sushi, right? I eat salmon sushi.
I'm about to say.
I eat salmon sushi, right? Because the fish don't have the blood in the bone. They don't have the blood in the flesh. The blood is in the organ, sometimes in the bone, right? So I eat salmon sushi. You bite into a salmon fish, there's no blood. If you bite into the organs, that's where the blood is at. So if I eat raw sushi, none of the fish had blood in it, so I can eat it raw like that. But certain animals, and he said a steak, which will be like a cow or whatnot. So as long as there's no blood in it in that steak, it's lawful to eat. Right. Take your fork, spoon, whatever, or even take your thumb. You know, I done got medium rare a few times. just to try it. Medium well done. A few times, right? And I would just pray. No blood. Every restaurant is different. As long as there's no blood coming out of it, it's lawful. If you put on that medium well done and there's blood coming out of it, they gotta go back and cook that thing a little bit longer. They gotta go, cook that a little bit longer. And if you could, while we on the top, right? Just pull it up on the laptop, right? Pull it up on the screen, medium well done. And it should be a chart, right? It should be a chart. I'm gonna show you what's lawful to get, because according to the law and Bahaya, find me the scripture where it say you can't eat the blood. If you need to paraphrase it more to help you, just let me know. It talks about the life is in the blood. That's what it says. Life is in the blood. So do me a favor, Yedaya, pull up the chart of the different
Steak.
different states that you can eat.
Like a restaurant joint, or what it look like. So, salad.
Oh, that's okay. That's good. That's good. That is perfect. That is perfect. All right, so look at this. This is what Esau ate in the wilderness. This is what Esau ate before he sold his birthright. He didn't give a damn, right? This is when you out in the wilderness and you catch the animal moving alive and you just take a bite out of it. This is what Esau like, right? And it tells you to the steak. And they on the outside of it, which is these, they cooked it in 1 minute each. Good night. They cook it 1 minute each. Internal temperature 10 to 29 degrees. What is it, Celsius? And then let me read what the Bible says.
Good night.
Should feel spongy with that right there. That thing was still alive when they cooked that for 1 minute. So then you got rare, the second one, right? They cooked the outside for at least 2.5 minutes. Should feel soft and spongy with slight resistance. And it's a slight rough. Look at that. Come on, man. You can't tell me that's not no blood in there. You're gonna be goddamn dragging when you eat that. Now, medium rare, right? Now it's like it gets a little bit more cooked in the, around the edges. The middle is 75 to 60 degrees Celsius. Feel fairly soft, fairly spongy, and slightly stringy. But look at
Yeah.
and on that is blood.
Right.
But then you got medium. Now, medium is a little different. And that's what we're talking about. Medium, it should feel fairly firm and stringy. So if you look at it, this is cooked, but if you look at the middle, it's a little red, but that's when you are, okay, because like I said, every restaurant is different, so you can order a steak with medium. Some restaurants are bring it to you, take this spoon, press down on it, no blood come out. Some restaurants, some blood will come out. When you go to the medium, that's when you gotta start examining. Now, medium well. And what was the one he asked?
That's the one, medium well.
Medium well. Medium well. Medium well is law. Should feel firm with slight strain. Medium well, as you look at it, there is no blood in it. Right. But still, once again, still check. Right. Go to the restaurant. Because medium well, press on a couple of them. You go to a few of them Italian restaurants, you press on it, you'll be like, oh, indeed. Nah, this ain't right. What the hell is going on? Some of them, most of them, when you press on them, it shouldn't release any blood. Right? That's medium well. How do I know this? I hope he don't, kill me for this, but can't tell roll like this. Medium well done. So he gave me this breakdown when I asked him before. We go to a restaurant, he like a steak medium well done. And I asked him, how do you know if it's raw, even if it's medium well done? Press on it, no blood come out of it, it's oils, seasons, you good. If blood come out of it, then that means you messed it up. If you order it medium well and blood come out of it, that means they just need to cook it on. But there shouldn't be no blood coming out of medium well. Then you got well done, which us Judites like.
Right, it's basically a good steak according to Esau.
Then we get the well done. You can crush it, stab it, punch it, and no blood coming out of that.
That's right.
That thing is good. That thing is cooked at the internal temperature is 77 Celsius. So, it should feel very firm and will string back quickly. That's the Judite thing. I just yeah, right there. I just say some Judites fighting. What did I say? Waste of a good quality steak.
According to Esau.
According to Esau, he considered well done as a waste. For our cheesesteaks, when we go to the store order cheesesteaks, cheesesteaks is well done. Esau considered that cheesesteak a waste of good quality steak. Because a good quality steak, what do we consider a quality steak? Now, he considered that blue a quality steak. He want his mouth to warm while he biting. Nah.
I'll say, sir, if I could, I have a funny joke. Say, Lord willing, we be in the kingdom. I get to put Esau down for this. You're like, yeah, Salaki, sir. I want my steak the way Esau. I want my steak the way my ancestor got it from you back in the day. I want it blue. See, Jacob was taking too long with it. Well done. I need it right now, sir.
Right, I was a little hungry, and Jacob was taking too long, so I just didn't do it.
He's like, look at this nigga taking forever.
Taking forever. You know what? This cow's still moving. Let me go get him. This deer is still.
Hold on, I gotta stop this. Let me give my blessing.
Right.
And birthright. I ain't gonna let you waste that. I ain't gonna let you waste that steak.
Look how evil it is. Waste of a good steak, well done. Look at what that was good as hell. Well done. That's a 100% brown throughout.
That's carne asada steak right there. That's
right.
Good stuff.
That's Issachar steak like that. Judah, Benjamin. You ain't gonna get none of these on up. Oh man. So yeah, medium well is lawful. Medium well steak. Just make sure you specific with them. Okay, I want a medium well. make sure you make it medium well. You gotta let them know sometimes. But sometimes they do medium well and they do medium rare. You know what I mean? You press on it, blood coming out of it. You're like, what the hell? Maybe this is medium well. Nah. About how y'all read the scripture you was going with?
Oh God. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 17, verse 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood.
The life of the flesh is in the blood, which is why this, and this are law. Because the life of the flesh is in the blood, which is why when people lose so much blood, they die.
Right.
At the lamb slaughter, when you kill the lamb, with the neck, I know y'all might not want to hear this, you big Israelites, and you really just Peter groups. So y'all, some of y'all think Israelites are just Peter. Peter is a is an organization that's there that's against killing animals to eat them. When there's a lot of animals or a lot of lambs that's going to be slaughtered for the Passover, so Peter, you got the wrong organization. They're against furs, any type of animals, skin or fur bearing. They are against it, right? That's what Peter said. But sorry to like we see chicken, salmon, I like me some medium, well done. Medium, some medium well. I'm sorry. I mean, there's nothing wrong if you don't want to eat it. But me, in my house, it's gonna serve the Lord.
I was gonna say I do get it though. Like I remember getting the lamb slaughter when they cooked the one cow and he was chilling with his homie. I was like, damn man. And it's crazy because I was thinking about it, like, yo, really killed my man homie. I'm sitting over there talking to them like, damn, cuz they killed you. Amazing.
This is your home.
He tastes amazing though. I feel you, cuz it's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's good.
Listen, they bred for that.
Right.
They bred to. They know they die. That's why they didn't put up that much resistance when they die, especially the plants, man. Like I've seen brothers grab lambs by the leg. Y'all go to the last name slaughter?
Man.
Listen, y'all have seen it, right? Go ahead.
Man, I saw Iba Haya decapitated. Yo, man, it was crazy.
Real smooth. They went out peaceful.
Right.
That's how it's supposed to be. Certain animals, it's like, man, they took them home and some next.
Yeah.
Next, they're gonna come get me. So be it. Until they come get me. Some of them lambs, they run away from you when you want to grab them. They grab them,
Mm-hmm.
they ain't trying to get away enough. That's my time. Because they're meant for that. Try to grab a pig, man. Listen, they got a sport on trying to get a pig. They got a pig loose and you chase it. It's a sport on trying to tackle and catch a pig because it gets away from you and it's running for its life. Because pigs know we are not supposed to eat. That's just like goats. Certain goats, when you creep up on them, scare them, they freeze up and it's like they paralyze and they drop. And they lay like certain animals like that, like cows. You tip a cow over, there's no way it's getting back up. They sleep standing up. That's why they call it cow tipping. When they sleep, you go run in and tip them over. It's very hard for them to get back up, especially the real big until somebody can help them up. Some goats, they freeze up and they fall over. Just pick them up by the legs. You can play that all you want. Give me 5 minutes. That's just how it is, man. Read on.
Oh God. And I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your soul.
Right.
For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul.
The blood is not meant to be eaten, right? Which makes Egyptologists and all those African cultures so easy, right? Being at the lamb slaughter, right? When you in the ISUPK, you totally understand the Bible and why we do, right? I'm gonna give y'all a personal story, right? So I'm at the lamb slaughter. Brother's trying to get a lamb, right? And I still remember the general saying, try not to scare the lamb too much, right? Because when you scare them, the organs pump so much blood that the blood begins to come into the meat now. Stress. You don't want to, scare a lamb, get it, kill it. You really can't eat the meat now because the organs that pump the blood into the meat because of the stress that went from you chasing it around like, motherfucker, come here, and you trying to grab it. And I said, because there's a lot of animals that the blood is not in the flesh, like a human, human flesh, the blood is right in the flesh. There's a lot of animals that the blood is not in the flesh. And it's a certain way you go about killing them, because if you kill them the wrong way, you could possibly, man, you gotta wait a little bit longer to skin and kill and chop this animal up, because the blood is going to be inside the meat, right? And I sat there and I was like, that makes so much sense. Because when you look at those African tribes, they would hold a pig, or let's go to law. They would hold a cow or a goat, anything. And there'd be so many of them around it, and they would make a bunch of noise. And they'd have a machine and everybody. Like they want the animals to see that it's about to get hurt. And the animal will freeze up and start going crazy, and then they cut the neck, and the blood starts squirting out. And just put a bowl on it, catch the blood, and then they sit there and move and eat like that. Because they know the blood is going to come out more and faster if they do that. You see us at the lamb slaughter, we just grab one, we just grab by the feet, you get the feet. It's still getting pet. We petting it, rubbing it. No, everything gonna be okay. You good? Everything. And how would you know that unless the Most High told you that? You would never know that. You would just be sitting there waiting for your food to the adrenaline to stop pumping. Even though you cut the neck and the blood is squirting out and the damn animal's still kicking, I'm gonna skin that thing and we're gonna finish this thing. Because that's real science according to the Bible. Which is why in the book of Leviticus, the Lord said, do not as the Egyptians do. And that law right here, read that from the top.
Oh God. This is the book of Leviticus, 17, verse 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood.
The Most High made the law to let you know that the life of the flesh is in the blood. Why? Because of those singing heathens that's cutting the neck of all those animals for the blood. They want the tension to rise and the animal gets so stressed that the blood is now running in the meat. Meat, blood is in there. They want to fight into it and feel power. The Lord said the life of blood is in the flesh. Read.
God, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls.
He gave you that blood upon the altar to be an atonement for your soul. You take that blood and you use it. to be forgiven, to make an atonement.
Right.
That's when he give you that blood. He didn't give you that blood, you scared of goddamn animal, so we're so scared that you cut the damn neck and you sitting there drinking the blood like it's Kool-Aid. He didn't do that. He gave you that blood to make an atonement. Sin off. That's what the Lord gave you.
Right.
Which is why we shouldn't do thinking, filthy actions. Can I get a time check?
Time check, sir. 9 o'clock.
That has the class of the priest, officer, and doctor.
Also, now y'all, man. After the sale of the ISUPK, I will let Army for the Fiction Hall, New York, as a man, move new brother and sister. When a new brother and sister come to school, they all live in 6 months. They're going to be saluted only. They present themselves to the world. They need transportation to teach world ranges. After 6 months, when a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months when the brother and sister will court each other. After that 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Ties. Commandment. You can read about that in Numbers 18, verse 21, Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Aisha, Hebrew 10 said for addiction, give to the church and department, priest fund, for the priest, not mandatory. What's our amount of give, public college convocation. We are still in the feast of the dedication of Hanukkah. Tomorrow is the closing, the last day of it. And the next one will be for winter. 14th day and 15th day of the 12th month, Thursday, February 25th, the 25th of February, and Friday, the 26th. And you can read about that in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20-30. Mind all occupant, not walking, chapter 34, no play. If anybody wants to be a trooper in school, we're all black. I'm sure they may start that. And of Israel, we're going to get one courtesy salute, and of Israel, not a Shabbat. Mike, Barak, Alabah, Shiyah, Shabbat, Yahshua, the top classes.